You are listening to Case Closed Live. I'm your host, Professor C, and we have quite a show for you today. It's very different from the Case Closed podcast. This is Case Closed Live, the show that does not pretty much go unless I have questions. You can send in your questions to me via Facebook or email at caseclosed1992@live.com. You can send your questions there or just comment on our Facebook page and give us a question there, and we will read your name and the question on the podcast. Unless you want to remain anonymous, of course, then we will just read your question. This show is very different in the sense that we will not do it unless we have questions. If I don't have questions, there's no point in doing a show. I won't waste my time doing it. This effort was started by me, this Save Case Closed effort, to get fans excited about the series again and to get them to buy the series and to get back into it. And I have shown a lot of dedication in doing now 2 podcasts revolving around the show, and our efforts have sparked a lot of partners, a lot of people that became excited, a lot of AMVs and unboxings and just overall websites, blogs. I saw about 3 or 4 blogs when I just Googled Save Case Closed today. It's amazing. It's really amazing what we've done around the internet. We have over 10,000 listens just on our YouTube channel alone of our podcasts. And as all of you know, we are on different channels. So to draw in just 10,000 on our channel alone with our 288 subscribers is really amazing. So I want to thank everyone that's been with us since day one and who has not given up on our efforts to save this series. As many of you know from watching the Case Closed podcasts, you know that I like to bring on guests to question or maybe even give us ideas on what we can do to better support the series. This next guest you're obviously very familiar with if you are a regular listener of the old Case Closed podcast. His name is Mr. Y, and he is one of the people that during last summer I got to purchase seasons and movies of Case Closed. Welcome to the show, Mr. Y.
It is a pleasure to be back here.
Thank you for joining us. What do you think, man?
I think, I really like where this is going again. I'm really glad we've re-energized and relaunched the podcast. But I have to ask you, though, man, what inspired you to create Case Closed Live? What is the reasoning behind this?
I felt that the Case Closed podcast was kind of becoming a boring, just dull show, where we were covering things that was important, but we had lost energy in the show, and the excitement at the very end I did not feel was there. With this, I want to relaunch it with new energy and allow people to be more hands-on and involved. So making a strict question show, I think, challenges people to get more involved in the show and hopefully more involved in the series overall. Hopefully this is the first big step for those people that haven't purchased season sets or movies.
Yeah, because really from what you talked to me about is that it sounds to me you really want to energize the fans and really push, fans of anime in general to go beyond the boundaries where they've never really gone before. Are you saying that another good idea would be for fans around America who are going to these conventions? And by the way, for those of you who don't know, A-Kon is coming to Fort Worth pretty soon, so be sure to go check that out. And if you're fans of the show, in our show, be sure to ask questions to the Funimation community about whether Case Closed is coming back or not. But more importantly, do you think Save Case Closed fans across the nation should be going to these anime conventions and even asking other Funimation officials there, saying what's the deal with Case Closed? Is it coming back? Even ask the voice actors, did y'all like the show? Do y'all think it's going to come back? How are the movies coming? Do you think they should be doing that as well? Or
I think fans should be going to these conventions and should be asking these questions. As you know, as you went with me for these, we went to the Funimation at the Movies event, and I asked some very serious questions, but Funimation, I think, understood where I was coming from, that no offense to anime fans, but this is true, and I think some of you know this, anime fans take a very radical point of view. I'm not an anime fan in many ways. I only like this show and another couple of shows. I'm not an anime person in a lot of ways. I do not spend a lot of time watching anime. It's not my first choice. But anime fans will take a very radical approach, and I can see it on my Facebook page sometimes where they will say, well, why hasn't Funimation come back and licensed more seasons? If there's no money there, why would they do it? You know, now I know that some of you are upset with me getting as pissed off as I did, but I got pissed because of one response somebody had put on the Facebook page for us that saying that, well, why am I not doing more? I was very offended by that question, and it started kind of a downward spiral for me and my attitude towards the last podcast, because I've done way more than most people have as far as trying to support the series and really being passionate about the series. I'm not one of these people that'll watch it on YouTube and watch it on these dubbed anime websites. You know, those aren't real fans. Those are just fakers, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds to me that a lot of the anime fans in general kind of, want things handed to them on a silver platter, with their shows and stuff. And I got bad news for y'all out there listening to this. That's really not the way things are going to work for this show. If you want it back and you want something done, you want it brought back, you're going to have to go do it yourself. You're going to have to be aggressive about it. You're going to have to be fierce about it. And, if you can't be aggressive or fierce, then you, in reality, have no business trying to save the show. That's just basically the bottom line about it. But another question I have to ask you is, though, do you think that the reason why people aren't as energized to save this show is because Case Closed is more of a drama anime rather than an action, because as we see, the top 4 anime that are kind of on top of the world right now are, Dragon Ball Z still, Naruto, Bleach, and maybe One Piece, depending on who you are. But do you think the reason why, since it's not as much of an action show and it's more of a drama, do you think that's part of the reason why people aren't as energized or as favored towards it? Or
I think in the States it's a little slightly different. I think it has to do with Funimation not advertising the show enough. There's not a lot they can do about that, though, because if you notice with Funimation, they do not promote a lot of their shows on TV anymore. It just doesn't happen. It's on their DVDs, and that's how they do a lot of their advertising now and through their website. They kind of don't have to spend money to do that on TV anymore. That's really the only thing. The only reason I think that Case Closed hasn't been very successful. And yeah, the drama element could be the thing. In the United States, I don't think hang on to dramas as much, but I think Case Closed could have been successful in a different way if it had had some advertising, if it would have stuck on Adult Swim a little bit, and it would have just stuck with them. It would have been okay.
So, I noticed something weird, too, is that Viz Media controls, Naruto and Bleach, and, heck, they don't even advertise their series much. I maybe seen 1 or 2 commercials for their DVDs, and yet, they still keep those shows around. But since they're more action-based, they've been on the air longer. I know Naruto got cut off of Disney XD due to unknown reasons I haven't been able to figure out yet. But I just think, though, mainly it's probably either due to drama or maybe just due to lack of energy among the fans, because I have to wonder if Bleach or Naruto or One Piece, went off the air, would fans be as energized to get that back because of the action, or it's just odd.
Well, it would be different. It'd be like in the anime community. Naruto, I think people would fight very hard to get it back. I don't know much about Naruto. I know it's wildly popular. It's not my thing, though. Like I said, I'm very selective in the anime that I watch, and it's not a lot. It's just not something I, build my life around. I'm pretty strict on Case Closed right now. That's basically where my focus in anime is.
Probably another reason, too, is probably the sale of manga that some of the big 4 make as well, because when I walk into, Barnes & Noble stuff and I just walk back in the comics section, I notice that really there are hardly any Case Closed mangas on sale, and I'm pretty serious when I say that. And people, can call me out or challenge me on that, but I look back there, I see, stacks and rows of Bleach. I see stacks and rows of Naruto, One Piece, all this other stuff they have. But, when I look for Case Closed, I only see maybe about 1 or 2 or 3 books. I mean, there's hardly anything there.
I agree with you completely. I've been in Barnes & Noble with you, and we have seen the same thing. How would you like for us to get to our questions here from our fans?
I'd like to get started on that.
All right, I'll read them out to you, and you tell me if you agree or disagree, and I'll, of course, answer the questions, of course. David writes in and says, what was the Japanese name of Case Closed, and what year did the animation start airing in Japan? Also, have you guys ever watched the Japanese dub of the show? If yes, tell us your experience with it. Thanks, and I hope you keep this page alive. Well, it's staying alive. We hit 300 likes, which is the challenge I posted about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Well, the Japanese name of Case Closed is Detective Conan. I think most people that are associated with Case Closed that aren't really viewing a whole lot online would know that. Detective Conan is the name of Case Closed in Japan. We changed the name over here because of copyright issues, I think, with Conan O'Brien or something like that. So I don't know any strict details on that, so I won't elaborate too much on that. What year did the animation start airing in Japan? I believe that would be 1996 is when they first released Detective Conan over there. And, of course, we received it in 2004. This is also, have you guys ever watched the Japanese dub of the show? Yes, I have, actually. I'm up to episode 403 as of right now in the Japanese dub. I figured watching ahead would kind of give me a little more knowledge on the show going forward, and I'm very into the Japanese dub of it. But as you know, I'm here, and that means I want the American dub of it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what we're in it for.
Yeah, I mean, by far, my favorite episodes that are probably like when Vi gets kidnapped, by the black organization when they see Jin's car. I mean, practically, Jin and Vodka have their most badass moment in the show where they walk across the street and cars are just stopping, to keep from hitting them. And when the driver yells at Jin, like, what the hell are you doing? He just glares at him, and then he backs off. I mean, that was really, really awesome. One of the best episodes of the show in its early stage, in my overall opinion.
That was a pretty intense scene, by the way. Okay, and it says, the experience with the Japanese dub. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's pretty good. I like it, but, I don't understand these, English-speaking people that like the Japanese dub more than, the English dub of it. I'm thinking, well, I think you want to watch it in your own language. I'm okay reading subtitles, but yeah, I prefer an English dub of the show. I'm American. Only makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you can get used to reading subtitles only so long, and eventually your eyes kind of get tired of looking down at the bottom of the screen, and, it's just easier if you just hear it in actual English. You don't have to look down the whole time. You can just look straight up at the characters while they're talking.
Well, I've never been much of a reader either, so that's a pain in the ass for me. Okay, another question from David is, and why the sudden cancellation of the show? We've explained this on the Case Closed podcast. Has to do with lack of money, lack of people buying seasons. Let me point this out too from people who've not seen the Case Closed podcast. The show was not a bomb. It was not a failure by any means. It was successful, and it was successful. But the cost of the license is so much to make the show that the sales did not match up to the license and how much the license costs. I mean, it's just expensive, and that's the sales end of it just didn't live up to it. So that's what we're trying to do, is make up for what they didn't gain. And that's why I'm telling people to buy the series. By the way, you can buy the series on Amazon and WriteStuff.com. Many of you keep asking me where to buy it. I'm going to say it 100 times, and I'm going to post it on Facebook 100 times before people start getting the message.
And for those of you who say that, well, maybe the sales really weren't affected, by the podcast at all, you're actually wrong. We were tracking, in fact, the sales of the Case Closed movies and DVDs. We found out that sales on the seasons skyrocketed on Amazon. Like, at one point, it was being sold like in the top 10 of anime. So, it wasn't just, we were blowing smoke saying that nothing was happening. Things were happening. These were being bought a lot more, and it was because, the fans who were truly loyal to the show, and, forking over a little extra money and buying the series that, it was able to get in the top 10.
Well, I have to. The only thing I disagree with you there is the fact that people only bought it when it went down to like $15 a set. Most people aren't wanting to buy it at $22 and $23 a set, which is why we're in this mess to begin with. All right, Aaron has a question. It says, what's your opinion of Funimation's translation of the dub? Overall, it's solid, but you can, if you've watched Funimation shows in the past, you can kind of pick out who you're listening to. That kind of gets annoying, but you also, I guess, kind of feel some familiarity with the characters and the people that you're listening to dub the show. I think some people that hear the same voices over and over again say it's horrible, and I guess I can kind of see where they're coming from if they don't want to listen to the same, person again as the bad guy or as, just the fly-off-the-line character, pretty much. I really don't care. It's okay with me. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, and DBZ fans, if you notice that during some of the later season dubs of Case Closed, you notice that adult Gohan's voice actor plays a lot of the characters in those other scenes. And the acting really is phenomenal, though, with some of the characters, though. I mean, Richard Moore and his English voice actor, are in perfect unison. I mean, it is just fantastic, along with, Rachel is perfect as well. And Jimmy, played by Jerry Jewell, is also really fantastic. And Conan is really good as well.
It's amazing how Jerry can just sound like Jimmy without trying. Let's see. Who is your favorite? Okay, Casey asked this question. Who's your favorite character and least favorite character, and reasons why? My favorite character would have to be Jimmy Kudo, just because I kind of like the way he carries himself and how confident he is. I kind of try to be that confident in real life, and, that's pretty cool. Least favorite character, any one of the Junior Detective Boys, whatever. Detective League, whatever. I hate those kids. I wish the Black Organization would just put a bullet in them and be done with them. But that's my opinion. All right, Caesar has a question. It says, I have a question. Is it possible that Adult Swim can continue to have Case Closed on the TV again? Yeah, it's possible. Highly unlikely, though. People in charge at Adult Swim do not even like Case Closed. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised it even got on. Could it happen? Yes. If enough fans rallied together on Twitter and Facebook and went to their Twitters and their Facebooks and just started flooding them, kind of like the whole Bring Back Toonami efforts, which, by the way, I think personally will work. I think Toonami will return because fans in that field are extremely passionate and actually really followed through with wanting to get that show back. But, of course, Toonami was on the air for 11 years or so. So, there's enough fans behind that effort to make it happen.
There's also, don't forget about Funimation Network. It can come back on that network, too, if it won't be able to get on Toonami. Not to mention, though, Toonami, though, is better with Adult Swim and versatility of show because they can air a wide variety of stuff. You're talking about what has a better chance to survive on. It really has a better chance to survive on a Toonami setting of Adult Swim rather than Adult Swim itself.
Oh, God. That Funimation channel, I think, though, is tanking faster than they can try to promote it because Verizon stopped carrying it. So I think, the Funimation channel, I'd like to see Case Closed come back to it, and obviously it'd be a great start. But that channel in general, that's another topic for another day. But that channel is just, oh my God, just in ruins.
They were talking about the best option, though, as of now, for it to come back. It's either that.
Oh, that's the only option. I mean, if you're expecting it to come back on Adult Swim, you're right away. I mean, baby steps, people.
Yeah.
All right, Liz has a question. Why do you think Funimation does not try a little advertisement of the show once in a while to try gaining interest from people who might like it but never heard of it? They could easily do so on Facebook, and it wouldn't cost them anything. Well, Liz, you have a point. They could do it on Facebook. The only thing that stops them is their acquisitions every year. They make, I don't even know how many acquisitions every year, and I didn't even know how many they made till I started going to a couple of these Funimation at the Movies events, and they would keep talking about all these shows that they would acquire, and I'm like, Case Closed is going to get lost in that pile if it doesn't start making some real money, and they have no reason to advertise it if there's no real money coming in there. And, okay, let's see. We have another question here from Reggie. Since Funimation never actually came out and said that they were dropping Case Closed altogether, do you think that it's possible Funimation will pick it back up again? What circumstances do you think would have to change in order for that to happen? I love that question, actually. That's actually my favorite question that I've read so far, because I actually think Funimation will pick it back up. I don't see a reason for them not to. They did redo the Viridian sets to where the Viridian banner is not there, and something tells me if they weren't really at all caring about the show, they would have just kept the Viridian banners and not agreed to make more sets. Because Funimation has gone public saying that if Case Closed ran out of print copies, like Viridian sets, that they would make more. And obviously it's happened, and they've had to make more. They had to make more Season 1, we know, last summer, because Season 1 completely disappeared from the marketplace altogether, and about a month later it had come back with some new copies. So we do know Funimation is serious about making new copies of the show and trying to sell it. So I think their curiosity with it might still somewhat be there, and I think that they will, keep making acquisitions of it and purchasing it, but it will not be any new episodes until the sales give them a real reason to buy more episodes.
I mean, as of right now, the series will probably be a movie series at this point, because the movies selling were a lot more successful than the actual show. For them to re-energize the series in sales, it would have to be, once again, like we said before, for the series to be bought consistently, for them to make an actual profit off of it, and for really the fans themselves to rally behind the cause, and for the fans to actually show, saying, we would like this series to come back, and we, if y'all can make another, dub again and try it again. And I'm pretty sure, from what the voice actors have said, about the show, that I'm pretty sure they would not mind coming back and giving another shot, because there is so much more to be revealed, with Vi and the Black Organization in general. So.
Yes, now I am scrolling through here to see if there are any more questions here for us to read. Let's see. We have... looking through. Okay, it says we almost have enough. I believe we have some here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Oren asked what Case Closed Live is. Well, if you're listening, you already know what it is, so I don't have to answer that question. Let's see. Oh, God, this guy's kind of a moron. God, people just need to do some research,
Yeah. It would make things a lot simpler.
Nah, no questions there. God, 16 comments, you think there'd be something useful there to read, right? All right, here we go. This is where I made my last call on question. Good God, David, asking so many questions here for episode 1, right? Yeah. All right.
Loving it.
Oh, what do you think of the differences between the Japanese court system and the American court system? Hey, Jesus Christ. I forgot to do my research on this. Hey, you know what, David? Let's do a rain check on that. I will answer that question in episode 2, because I don't know exactly what the difference is between those two.
That would be a good question.
That's a good question. I love that. God damn, this guy's got great questions.
That would be a good question for an Ivy League law student, but maybe not for couple rednecks down in Texas.
No, not for me, no. Alright, let's see. Caesar has another question. Why would Adult Swim take out the show if Case Closed? Think about it. Just because Case Closed has low ratings doesn't mean they don't have to take it out, right? Is it possible that Adult Swim should bring back the show on TV? It's kind of the same question, but I'll kind of skim over what's new in this question. Well, if it has low ratings, why keep it around? I mean, if people aren't watching, you've got to make the move and you've got to get rid of it. If that's why they did it, then fine. I don't. I personally think that they moved it to another time slot, didn't advertise it enough, because there was only 1 or 2 promos in the entire show's life on Adult Swim for it. So, did they give up on it too quickly? Well, that's for you to decide. That's up in the air for me. I can't really say. But I want to thank everyone that did send in questions, and that's what we're going to do. That's what this podcast is about. We're going to, go on questions, and that's how we're going to do it. And I really appreciate that. It was a good response for the first episode, and I want to thank Mr. Y here for joining me.
Thank you for bringing me back, man.
Hey, man, we want to have you back, and appreciate you being here. And I want to thank everyone for listening, and you will see me again if we have questions. So I will see you on the next episode of Case Closed Live. Take care, everybody.